Imagine this. You're sitting in the cockpit of an airplane that's almost 70 years old. Outside the window, minus 70 degrees Celsius, near zero pressure, and if the canopy glass cracks, your blood will boil in 10 seconds. You're wearing a full pressure suit, just like an astronaut. Beneath you, a thin blue ribbon of atmosphere wraps around the curved edge of the Earth. Above your head, absolute black of space, and a sun so bright you want to put on 3 pairs of sunglasses at once. And right then, it hits you. At this very moment, you are the highest human being on the entire planet. Above you, only satellites and the ISS. No civilian airliners, no fighters, nobody. My name is Jake Harper. I'm not a military pilot. I'm not an astronaut. I'm just a guy. And today, the U.S. Air Force put me in the back seat of the legendary U-2 Dragon Lady and let me take all of you with me to 70,000 feet, where the sky ends and space begins. This isn't a simulator. This isn't VR. This is a real flight on America's most secret and oldest still operational spy plane, the one that still flies higher than anything else in the world. If you've ever dreamed, even for a second, of being on the edge of space, buckle up. We're taking off right now. Hit that like button in advance, because after this video, you'll never look at the sky the same way again. Let's go! Right now, as I'm saying these words, I, Jake Harper, am sitting in the cockpit of a 2-seat U-2S floating at 70,000 feet above the Nevada desert, where the air is thinner than memories, and the sky overhead is no longer blue but coal black, pierced by the merciless glare of a sun that feels closer than ever. If I tilt my head a little and press against the thick cockpit glass, I can see that delicate, almost shy curvature of the Earth, a thin arc that philosophers and madmen once argued about. So dear flat Earth believers, sorry, but here's the truth visible to the naked eye. The planet is round, and right now I'm holding it in the palm of my hand. We've just left Beale Air Force Base, a place that officially doesn't get talked about, but since the 1960s has been the heart of American high-altitude reconnaissance. Legends were born here. First, the lightning-fast SR-71 Blackbird, and then this graceful, fragile-looking Dragon Lady, the U-2, built in secret hangars at Area 51, back when the icy shadow of the Cold War hung over the world. Half a century of technological revolutions have passed by. Yet she still climbs into the sky, carrying pilots in full space gear to the very threshold of space. And today, an ordinary guy from California who's dreamed of the sky his whole life got the incredible honor of touching this legend with his own hands. But before we climb even higher, let me tell you how you actually land this dragonfly with a 105-foot wingspan. Landing a U-2 is practically a circus act. At low altitude, those long wings generate so much lift that the plane literally refuses to touch the ground. So the pilot deliberately stalls it onto one wing. 6, 4, 3, 2, 1, and at that moment, a black pickup truck comes screaming out of the dust, racing down the runway at up to 140 miles per hour. Inside is the chase car officer, a man with ice-cold calm who literally talks the multi-ton bird onto the concrete over the radio. A little left. Hold it. Now ease the throttle. When the gear finally kisses the runway, the plane freezes, dangerously tilted, and technicians instantly sprint under the wings to slide in titanium pogos, temporary crutches, so the 110-foot seesaw doesn't collapse sideways. Only then does the Dragon Lady proudly taxi to parking like nothing happened. They say if you want to feel like a Formula One driver, an astronaut, and a fighter pilot all at once, welcome to the U-2 cockpit. This plane was born in the 1950s, when every bolt's weight decided whether the aircraft would reach the magic 70,000 feet or become prey for Soviet MiGs and S-75 missiles. The idea was simple and insane. Build a glider with a jet engine that climbs so high it becomes untouchable. Best glide ratio in the world, minimum weight, every pound saved gave an extra foot of altitude. At first, it wasn't military pilots flying it, but CIA employees. A civilian pilot, accidentally overflying foreign territory, caused fewer diplomatic headaches. President Eisenhower personally signed off on every flight over the USSR, knowing one wrong move could push the world to the brink of war. all for photographs of Soviet missile ranges, bombers, and ICBM launch pads. Then came May 1, 1960. Francis Gary Powers, a 30-year-old Air Force captain, was flying his usual route from Peshawar to Bodo. Over Sverdlovsk, an S-75 missile tore the sky apart, and the invulnerable U-2 fell in burning pieces. Powers ejected, survived, and became the world's headline hero. Trial, 10 years in prison, he served less than 2, exchange on the Glienicke Bridge in Berlin. When I look at those old black and white photos, the charred wreckage in a field, Powers in a Soviet prison uniform, I get the chills. And at the same time, pride. I'm sitting in the same cockpit he once sat in. A cockpit that survived the Cold War and still serves today. By the way, part of the movie Bridge of Spies with Tom Hanks was filmed right here at Beale. Our technicians and pilots even appeared as extras. They recognized themselves on the big screen and were insanely proud. And last year, when that Chinese high-altitude balloon appeared over America, the very first aircraft scrambled to go see what that hell that thing is, was a U-2, because nothing flies higher than satellites in space itself. Flying the U-2 is like riding an 18-ton bicycle. The wings are made for altitude, light, long, incredibly efficient. Down low, it's a real dragon, feisty, temperamental, ready to bite. Up high, it's a lady. Smooth, obedient, almost weightless. To start descending from 70,000 feet, you first drop the gear in air brakes, otherwise it simply refuses to come down. It loves being up there, where it's almost vacuum. Inside the cockpit, everything has changed since Powers' time. Instead of the old optical viewfinder, there are color multifunction displays, but the yoke, rudder pedals, and left-hand throttle are still old school. There's even a rear-view mirror to watch your contrail. But space? In a regular flight suit, it's tolerable. In a full pressure suit, it's like being in a tin can. So why, with spy satellites and drones, do we still fly a 70-year-old machine? Because the U-2 can loiter over one spot for hours, redeploy anywhere on the planet instantly, and change mission mid-flight. A satellite passes overhead in minutes, the Dragon Lady stays. She's persistent, flexible, and, damn it, still unmatched. Right now, I'm disconnecting the oxygen hose from the ground cart. The technician slaps me on the shoulder. "Good luck, sir." The engine comes alive with a low growl, the same General Electric F-118 that powers the B-2 stealth bomber. The chase car pulls away, pogos are removed, and we're rolling. Angle of attack almost 40 degrees, nose pointed at the sky, and suddenly, weightlessness. The ground drops away insanely fast. Pinion 09, cleared for takeoff. Thank you, tower. We climb in a spiral over the desert and I feel my nose start to itch. Classic when you're sealed in the suit. Nothing to do but endure it for 2 hours. 50,000 feet. 60,000. Here we're entering what was once considered space. Pressure drops so low that without the suit, your blood would boil in seconds. This is the Armstrong limit. Above it, only us and silence. 70,000. The sky overhead is absolute black. Below us, a thin glowing blue ribbon of atmosphere. The Earth curves like a giant ball, and I realize, right now, I am the highest person on the planet because the back seat in the trainer U-2S sits a couple of feet higher than the front. Mongo, my instructor pilot, laughs and says, "Enjoy it, Sam. Right now, you're higher than anyone." We're flying on a razor's edge, a little slower, and you stall, a little faster, and you exceed Mach and the wings tear off. This is the infamous coffin corner, where mistakes are measured in fractions of a second. The plane banks at the lightest touch, as if it can feel every thought. A little over an hour in, and I'm already eating apple pie through a tube straight into my helmet. Tastes like grandma's house. Mongo says the record is almost 13 hours airborne. People read books, do Sudoku, stretch their legs to avoid blood clots. Everything is thought out to the smallest detail. Then comes descent. Gear down already at 70,000, air brake out, and we begin the long, gentle fall back to Earth. The chase car is waiting on the runway. 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. Touchdown! The wingtip scrapes the concrete, the titanium plate sparks, and we're back on Mother Earth. I climb out of the cockpit, legs shaking, ears ringing with silence after the long engine roar. They remove the suit slowly, like I've just returned from another planet. And I understand I'll remember this day for the rest of my life. Thank you, Beale Air Force Base. Thank you, Mongo and the entire team. Thank you, dear viewers, for letting me live this dream and share it with you. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'm finally going to scratch my nose.